Green tea has been consumed for centuries and is often associated with calm energy and overall wellness. But many people may not realize that how you drink it can influence how your body responds to it. A common mistake is simply brewing green tea and drinking it plain without understanding that certain natural additions can help the body use its beneficial compounds more efficiently. This matters because the body's circulation system, which carries oxygen and nutrients to every cell, relies heavily on the flexibility and health of blood vessels. When blood vessels function well, blood flows smoothly like water through a wide open river. When they become stiff or narrowed, circulation becomes more like water moving through a tight pipe. According to organizations such as the National Institutes of Health, NIH, and Harvard Health Publishing, green tea contains plant compounds known as catechins, particularly one called EGCG, epigallocatechin gallate. These compounds have been widely studied for their role in supporting cardiovascular wellness and protecting cells from oxidative stress. Oxidative stress occurs when unstable molecules called free radicals accumulate in the body, potentially damaging tissues, including the lining of blood vessels. The inner lining of blood vessels, known as the endothelium, plays a critical role in regulating blood flow because it helps release nitric oxide, a signaling molecule that tells blood vessels when to relax and widen. Research summaries available through PubMed and information from the Mayo Clinic explain that nutrients and plant compounds that support endothelial health may help maintain healthy circulation as part of a balanced lifestyle. However, scientists also note that many plant compounds are sensitive to digestion conditions and may break down before the body fully absorbs them. This is one reason why nutrition researchers often discuss how combining certain foods can improve what is called bioavailability, meaning how much of a beneficial compound actually enters the bloodstream. For example, vitamin C-rich foods such as citrus fruits may help the science behind blood flow and circulation stabilize certain plant antioxidants during digestion, potentially allowing the body to absorb more of them. This is why many nutrition experts recommend pairing plant-based beverages or foods with complementary ingredients rather than consuming them in isolation. Still, it's important to remember that beverages like green tea are not treatments for disease and should simply be viewed as part of an overall healthy routine that includes balanced nutrition, physical activity, adequate sleep, and stress management. Health guidance from trusted sources like the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, and the World Health Organization, WHO, consistently emphasizes that long-term wellness comes from daily habits rather than any single food or drink. If you have existing medical conditions or take medications, it is always wise to speak with a qualified healthcare professional before making significant dietary changes. Understanding these principles helps explain why the way green tea is consumed can influence how supportive it may be for general circulation and wellness. In the next section, we will look more closely at what actually happens inside the body after you drink green tea, and why scientists continue to study its natural compounds in relation to blood vessel function. Once green tea enters the body, a fascinating chain of biological events begins, and understanding this process helps explain why researchers continue to study it in relation to circulation and vascular wellness. Green tea naturally contains plant chemicals called polyphenols, and among them, catechins are the most widely discussed. One catechin in particular, known as HCG, has attracted attention in nutritional science because of how it interacts with the cells lining the blood vessels. These cells form what is called the endothelium, a thin but extremely important layer that helps regulate how blood moves through the body. When the endothelium functions well, blood vessels can relax and expand when needed, allowing blood to move efficiently to organs, muscles, and tissues. If the endothelium becomes stressed by factors such as poor diet, chronic stress, lack of sleep, or physical inactivity, The vessels may not respond as effectively. A helpful way to imagine this is to think of blood vessels like flexible garden hoses. When the hose is soft and flexible, water flows smoothly, but when it becomes stiff or kinked, the flow becomes restricted. According to summaries available through the National Institutes of Health, NIH, and the research database PubMed, certain plant compounds found in foods and beverages may support endothelial function by helping the body maintain a healthy balance of nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a signaling molecule produced by endothelial cells that tells the surrounding muscle in the blood vessel walls to relax. When those muscles relax, the vessel widens and blood flow improves. Scientists sometimes refer to this process as vasodilation. Harvard Health Publishing explains that maintaining healthy nitric oxide signaling is an important part of cardiovascular wellness because it supports flexible blood vessels and balanced circulation. The antioxidants in green tea are also studied because they may help reduce oxidative stress. Expert Insight, Urologist, explains the missing step. Oxidative stress occurs when free radicals, which are unstable molecules created during normal metabolism and influenced by factors such as pollution, smoking, or poor nutrition, begin to outnumber the body's natural defenses. Over time, excessive oxidative stress can affect many tissues, including blood vessels. Antioxidants help neutralize these unstable molecules, acting somewhat like protective shields for cells. This is one reason nutrition experts often emphasize diets rich in plant-based foods and beverages. The Mayo Clinic and the Cleveland Clinic both note that plant compounds found in fruits, vegetables, teas, and herbs may contribute to overall cardiovascular health when combined with healthy lifestyle habits such as regular movement, stress management, and proper sleep. However, researchers also emphasize that the body's ability to absorb and use these compounds can vary depending on digestion, metabolism, and food combinations. Some studies referenced through PubMed indicate that many polyphenols may partially break down in the digestive tract before they are fully absorbed into the bloodstream. This does not mean they are useless, but it helps explain why nutrition science often explores how combining foods can influence how much of a compound becomes available to the body. This concept of bioavailability is an important reason scientists continue studying how different ingredients interact with each other during digestion. Understanding this process sets the stage for the next discussion because the way green tea is combined with certain everyday foods may influence how the body processes its natural compounds and how effectively those compounds support overall wellness and circulation. Another important factor researchers often discuss when studying plant-based beverages like green tea is how digestion affects the stability of their beneficial compounds. While green tea naturally contains kachins, such as EGCG, these compounds must first survive the digestive process before the body can make use of them. The digestive tract is a complex environment where enzymes, stomach acids, and intestinal conditions constantly break down food into smaller molecules. During this process, some plant compounds may degrade or transform before they are absorbed into the bloodstream. Nutrition scientists refer to this challenge as bioavailability, meaning the proportion of a nutrient or compound that actually becomes available for the body to use. According to research summaries available through PubMed and information shared by the National Institutes of Health, NIH, polyphenols like those found in green tea are sensitive to changes in pH levels during digestion. When the digestive environment becomes more alkaline, which often occurs in parts of the small intestine, some kachins may lose stability. This means a portion of the compounds originally present in the beverage may break down before they reach the bloodstream. This is one reason scientists study how food combinations can influence nutrient stability and absorption. A helpful way to imagine this is to think of these plant compounds as delicate packages traveling through a long delivery route. If the conditions along the route are daily habits that supercharge circulation harsh, some packages may open or break before reaching their destination. However, certain nutrients can help protect those packages during the journey. Vitamin C, for example, is known for its antioxidant properties and its ability to interact with other plant compounds in ways that help maintain their stability. Research discussed in nutrition journals and summarized through Harvard Health Publishing indicates that vitamin C-rich foods may help preserve certain polyphenols during digestion. Citrus fruits such as lemons, limes, and oranges contain both vitamin C and natural acids, which can influence the digestive environment in ways that support the stability of plant antioxidants. The Mayo Clinic also explains that vitamin C plays a broader role in maintaining healthy tissues, including the connective structures that support blood vessel walls. While these interactions are still being studied, nutrition researchers frequently highlight how pairing foods together can change how nutrients behave in the body. This principle is widely recognized in dietary science and is often why balanced meals that combine different food groups are recommended. Another interesting aspect is the role of the gut microbiome. The trillions of microorganisms living in the digestive system help break down many plant compounds that human enzymes alone cannot fully process. According to the Cleveland Clinic and several microbiome studies indexed in PubMed, gut bacteria can convert certain polyphenols into smaller metabolites that may still have biological activity in the body. In other words, even when some compounds change during digestion, they may still contribute to overall wellness through indirect pathways. However, gut health itself is strongly influenced by lifestyle factors such as diet quality, fiber intake, sleep, and stress levels. This highlights an important point emphasized by organizations like the World Health Organization, whose health outcomes are rarely influenced by a single food or beverage alone. Instead, they reflect the combined effects of daily habits over time. Understanding how digestion affects plant compounds, like those found in green tea, helps explain why people often experiment with different ways of preparing it. The next part of the discussion explores how certain natural ingredients commonly used in kitchens around the world may complement green tea and why scientists continue studying these combinations in relation to circulation and overall wellness. Another layer of interest in nutrition research involves how different natural ingredients may complement each other when consumed together. Scientists often describe this as nutritional synergy, a concept where multiple food compounds interact in ways that may influence how the body processes them. In the context of beverages like green tea, many traditional cultures have long paired it with ingredients such as ginger, honey, or citrus fruits. While these traditions developed centuries before modern laboratories existed, researchers today are exploring whether there may be biological reasons behind these combinations. One commonly discussed example is ginger, a root that has been used for both culinary and traditional wellness purposes across Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. Ginger contains naturally occurring compounds called gingerols and shogals, which are known for their antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. According to information summarized by the National Institutes of Health NIH and research available through PubMed, these foods and drinks that enhance blood flow compounds may interact with certain signaling pathways related to inflammation and oxidative stress in the body. Oxidative stress, as described by Harvard Health Publishing, occurs when unstable molecules known as free radicals accumulate and begin affecting normal cellular function. Since the lining of blood vessels is particularly sensitive to oxidative stress, maintaining a balanced antioxidant environment may support normal vascular function as part of a healthy lifestyle. Ginger is also often studied for its potential influence on digestion. The Cleveland Clinic notes that ginger has traditionally been associated with supporting digestive comfort and normal gastrointestinal movement. When digestion works efficiently, nutrients and plant compounds from foods and beverages may be processed more smoothly through the gastrointestinal tract. Researchers sometimes explore whether improved digestive function could indirectly influence how the body absorbs certain nutrients, although this area continues to be studied. Another reason ginger frequently appears in traditional tea preparations is its warming sensory effect. This sensation comes from the way ginger compounds interact with receptors in the body that respond to temperature and circulation signals. While the warming feeling itself does not necessarily indicate a medical effect, it can create a perception of increased warmth or circulation that many people find comforting. From a lifestyle perspective, warm beverages that combine multiple plant ingredients can also encourage slower drinking habits and mindful routines, both of which may help reduce stress. The Mayo Clinic and the World Health Organization, WHO, often emphasize that stress management is an important part of maintaining cardiovascular health because chronic stress can influence blood pressure, sleep quality, and hormone balance. Honey is another ingredient frequently paired with tea in many cultures. Raw or minimally processed honey naturally contains small amounts of plant-derived antioxidants and enzymes. Research summarized by the NHS and studies listed on PubMed indicate that honey contains phenolic compounds that contribute to its antioxidant profile. Although honey is still a form of sugar and should be consumed in moderation as part of balanced nutrition, its complex composition differs from refined sweeteners that contain little beyond simple sugars. This is why some nutrition experts discuss honey within the broader context of whole food ingredients rather than highly processed additives. When these traditional ingredients, green tea, ginger, and honey, are combined, they create a beverage that includes a wide range of plant compounds, each interacting with the body in different ways. However, researchers consistently remind us that the benefits of such foods depend heavily on the overall pattern of diet and lifestyle. Organizations like the CDC and WHO stress that regular movement, balanced meals, quality sleep, and stress reduction remain the most reliable foundations of long-term cardiovascular wellness. Understanding how these natural ingredients interact begins to reveal why traditional tea preparations often included more than just the tea leaves themselves, which leads naturally into the next part of the discussion about additional ingredients. People sometimes add in the common mistakes that can reduce the potential benefits of these beverages. Another interesting dimension of nutrition science involves spices. That simple lifestyle changes that make a big difference are often used in small amounts but contain highly concentrated plant compounds. Two examples frequently discussed in research are cinnamon and turmeric. These spices have been used in culinary traditions for centuries, yet modern laboratories continue exploring how their natural compounds interact with different biological systems in the body. When these spices are discussed alongside beverages like green tea, the conversation usually centers on their antioxidant and metabolic properties rather than any direct medical treatment. Cinnamon, for instance, contains a natural compound called cinnamaldehyde, which gives the spice its distinctive aroma and flavor. According to information summarized by the National Institutes of Health, NIH, and research indexed in PubMed, cinnamaldehyde and related polyphenols are studied because they may interact with pathways related to oxidative stress and glucose metabolism. Maintaining balanced blood sugar levels is often considered an important part of long-term cardiovascular wellness because prolonged spikes in blood sugar can place stress on blood vessel walls. Harvard Health Publishing explains that when blood sugar remains consistently elevated over time, it can contribute to a process known as glycation, where sugar molecules attach to proteins in tissues such as blood vessels. This process may influence the flexibility of those tissues and can affect how well the vascular system responds to signals that regulate circulation. While spices alone cannot control blood sugar levels, dietary patterns that include whole foods, fiber-rich meals, and balanced nutrition may help support metabolic health. Cinnamon has therefore been studied as part of broader dietary patterns that emphasize plant-based ingredients and minimally processed foods. The Cleveland Clinic and the Mayo Clinic both highlight that spices like cinnamon can be useful in cooking because they add flavor without requiring large amounts of sugar or salt, which supports healthier meal preparation overall. Turmeric is another spice widely discussed in scientific literature due to its active compound curcumin. Curcumin has been the subject of numerous laboratory and clinical studies exploring its relationship with inflammation and cellular signaling pathways. According to summaries available through PubMed and the NIH, curcumin interacts with several molecular pathways that regulate inflammatory responses. Inflammation is a normal immune process, but when it becomes chronic, it may influence many systems in the body, including the cardiovascular system. This is why researchers studying long-term wellness, how morning and evening routines affect your health, often examine how diets rich in plant compounds may contribute to a balanced inflammatory response. However, curcumin has a unique challenge known as low bioavailability, meaning the body may not easily absorb it in large amounts when consumed alone. Researchers have found that combining turmeric with black pepper, which contains a compound called piperine, can influence how curcumin is processed in the digestive system. Studies referenced in PubMed suggest that piperine may slow the breakdown of certain compounds in the gut and liver, allowing more of them to remain available for absorption. Because of this interaction, turmeric and black pepper frequently appear together in both traditional cooking and modern nutrition discussions. Still, experts consistently emphasize that spices should be viewed as supportive elements within a healthy lifestyle rather than standalone solutions. The World Health Organization, WHO, and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, both stress that cardiovascular health is influenced by a wide range of habits, including physical activity, balanced nutrition, adequate sleep, and stress management. Spices like cinnamon and turmeric simply contribute additional plant compounds that may complement these habits as part of a varied diet. Understanding how these spices interact with digestion, metabolism, and cellular signaling helps illustrate why many traditional beverages combine multiple ingredients together, setting the stage for the final discussion about how all these lifestyle factors come together in everyday routines. When all of these ingredients and lifestyle ideas are viewed together, the bigger picture becomes clearer. Nutrition scientists often emphasize that health benefits rarely come from a single food or drink in isolation. Instead, they emerge from patterns of behavior repeated day after day. Green tea, citrus, spices, and natural sweeteners are simply examples of how different plant compounds can exist together within a daily routine. What truly matters is the broader context of lifestyle habits surrounding those choices. Organizations such as the World Health Organization, WHO, and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, consistently highlight that cardiovascular wellness depends on several interconnected factors, including diet quality, regular physical activity, adequate sleep, stress management, and avoiding harmful habits like smoking. When people focus only on one beverage or supplement, they often real-life results. Remarkable blood flow improvements overlook these foundational elements. However, when a beverage becomes part of a consistent healthy routine, such as a calm morning ritual, a mindful afternoon break, or a replacement for sugary drinks, it may indirectly support healthier choices across the rest of the day. Research summarized by Harvard Health Publishing explains that plant-based beverages like tea contain polyphenols, which are naturally occurring antioxidants found in many fruits, vegetables, and herbs. Antioxidants are widely studied because they help neutralize free radicals, unstable molecules that can accumulate in the body during normal metabolism or exposure to environmental stressors. Over time, excessive oxidative stress may influence cellular aging and inflammation. The National Institutes of Health, NIH, and numerous studies listed in PubMed note that diets rich in plant foods tend to provide a wide spectrum of these protective compounds. This is one reason nutrition experts often recommend dietary patterns that emphasize vegetables, fruits, herbs, spices, and minimally processed foods rather than focusing on individual nutrients alone. Another important factor frequently discussed by medical institutions like the Mayo Clinic and the Cleveland Clinic is hydration. Many people underestimate how hydration habits influence circulation, energy levels, and overall comfort. Replacing highly sweetened beverages with simpler options such as water, herbal teas, or unsweetened green tea can reduce excessive sugar intake and help support healthier daily fluid balance. However, moderation remains essential since caffeine-containing beverages may affect sleep quality if consumed late in the day. Sleep itself is another powerful influence on cardiovascular and metabolic health. According to the National Health Service, NHS, and the CDC, poor sleep patterns can influence hormone balance. Key takeaways and motivation to take action: appetite regulation, blood pressure, and stress responses. This is why lifestyle routines that encourage relaxation, such as a warm beverage in the evening or a quiet moment during the day, can indirectly contribute to better overall well-being. Stress management is equally important. Chronic stress activates the body's fight-or-flight system, which may temporarily raise heart rate and blood pressure. Over long periods, unmanaged stress can affect multiple body systems. Gentle daily rituals, mindful breathing, movement like walking, and balanced meals are all strategies commonly recommended by health organizations to support long-term wellness. It is also important to include a practical reminder. The information discussed here is intended for general educational purposes and should not replace professional medical guidance. Individual health needs vary widely depending on age, medications, and existing conditions. So anyone considering significant dietary changes should consult a qualified healthcare professional. Medical institutions including the NIH, NHS, and Mayo Clinic consistently encourage people to treat nutrition advice online as formational rather than diagnostic. When viewed through this broader perspective, a simple cup of tea becomes less about a single ingredient and more about the habits surrounding it: hydration, balanced nutrition, stress reduction, and mindful routines. Understanding that bigger lifestyle context helps explain why traditional cultures often paired beverages with calming rituals and balanced meals. And it highlights why long-term wellness is usually built through consistent, everyday choices rather than any single drink or food alone.